So you don't get hangry very often.
I'm always hangry. That's my problem. Welcome to another episode of Moonshots. As you know, every week we bring amazing guests. Not only you get to hear their moonshot, but more importantly, they give you the tricks and the wisdom that they are using to achieve their moonshot. And we hope that every one of the guests gives you one tool in your tool chest for you to be able to find your moonshot and to be able to execute on your moonshot. And this week is absolutely no exception. This week I have Markie with me. So Markie, what is your moonshot?
Hi, Naveen. My moonshot is redefining my future.
Redefining your future, not redefining the future, just your future.
I have to redefine my future first so I can be an example and encourage others to redefine their future.
Okay, so that's the first step. The first step is to redefine your future, but your moonshot really is to allow everyone to be redefining their own future.
Absolutely,
Okay.
to encourage everybody. This is possible. This is something.
So let's just
you can
redefine.
do.
Let's redefine your moonshot then.
Okay.
Your moonshot is to allow everyone to redefine their own future.
Yes.
And you're going to start with one, and you're going to tell us how you plan to do it for yourself, so people can use that
Absolutely.
trick to do it for themselves.
You got it.
So all right. So how are you going to redefine your own future?
Well, I have been in the process of redefining my own future. So it's actually started for me about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a horrible situation, very abusive relationship, and when I got out, things weren't magically better.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I had to figure out what I needed to do, who I needed to become, all these questions, and I really didn't have any answers. And there was nobody there to help me or guide me. So really I had to look within myself for that motivation and find that strength to redefine my future and to do something to become a better person and have a new life.
All right. So if you want to redefine the future, we have to start. Let's start with the understanding the past, understanding the present, and then we see what is wrong in the present and what would you like to see achieve in the future.
Yes.
So let's just go back and just give me about who is Markie, what has been your past, give me where you are in your life.
Yeah.
What is it that you want changed?
Yeah. So what I wanted changed was when I got out of this awful relationship, and
Is that the only thing you care about is that particular part, or you want to just talk about anything else in life? It's just that abusive relationship is the thing that defined you and you want to redefine that. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say it defined me.
Okay.
It was something that happened to me.
Okay.
But I made a choice to define myself by
Okay.
what I did afterwards.
Okay, let's go with that. So give us just a little bit of things so people can associate that, oh my God, that's me. I am going through the same thing. Why don't I change? So what happened in your relationship?
So I'll talk about what happened afterwards.
Okay.
So at that point when I was at my rock bottom, I was broke, I was homeless, I had no family, no friends, no support, nobody who knew what even happened. And I'm literally completely alone and by myself. And so for me, it was kind of, only two choices. Like either I just throw in the towel and I give up completely and say, well, this, I got the short end of the stick with this life. Or I entertain the idea that I could possibly overcome everything that had happened. And as hard as it was going to be, I could start over again. If I could just put one foot in front of the other, take one day at a time and move forward in any direction, that was what I needed to do.
So what did you do?
So what I did was go into fitness, and at that time it was I just need to feel better. What's going to help me feel better? Oh, well, exercise. That's supposed to help you feel better. And so I started going to the gym. I started working out. I joined a CrossFit gym, and really through having a lot of routine, of stability, of discipline that really helped me recover mentally, emotionally, physically, just kind of stabilize. And then from there, as I would see my progress, I started to imagine, well, if I could do this, maybe I could do a little bit more, and so it continued to build on that concept to the point where I, 4 or 5 years later, am a competitive bodybuilder. I've competed nationally. I've won 2 pro titles, and so I've gotten a lot of support and basically made a new career for myself, a new life for myself, but it wasn't something I even imagined or envisioned at that time.
Did you go into fitness or exercise because you somehow felt that you didn't like who you were, or that was just simply a way to get out of just doing something that you enjoy?
It was both.
Okay.
I didn't like who I was at that point. I didn't like that. How could I have, how is my life at this point right now? I'm smart. I'm a pretty girl. I went to college. I shouldn't be in this position where I'm at right now. So I didn't like who I was because I didn't believe I should be there. But I also recognized that, feeling sorry for myself and my situation, the longer I, kind of kept those feelings around, the longer it was going to take me to become a different person and become who I wanted to be. So exercise, and fitness, yes, it was part of it was becoming a person who I wanted to be because I didn't like who I was. And then the other part was because I just needed to do something to feel good, to take my mind off of all of the trauma that I was dealing with constantly.
So this is interesting, Markie. Thinking of a professional bodybuilding as a woman is not something there's a lot of role models for, right? You think about modeling, you think about being really nice, slim, and you say, I'm going to go modeling, I'm going to go become an actress. But it's never about fitness, has never been about bodybuilding, and especially for a woman to have a pro bodybuilder, right? How did you get to that concept? I really want to do that rather than just be a fit.
I think people may or may not know too about bodybuilding is that there are different divisions for women. Okay. So for me, my division is bikini specifically, and bikini is on the lowest end of the muscle spectrum, if you will. And then there are other divisions for women who want a more muscular look. Nice. So I think what I was drawn to with bodybuilding is I realized when I started looking into it, and I did this all on my own. I didn't know anybody in the sport when I started. I didn't have any trainers or coaches, which is pretty much unheard of to go into it and to compete, especially in your first show without a coach. So I did that all on my own, just all instinct and my own research. And what I discovered through my research and when I decided to embark on this journey was that there is so much discipline required for a competitive bodybuilding lifestyle. It's not just about going to the gym and training. It's about doing that consistently. And the diet, which is what kills a lot of people, has to be so specific and so strict and regimented for the period of time that you are prepping for a show and competing. And so I think I was actually really drawn to that discipline aspect and realizing how much mental strength and conditioning it took to do this sport in addition to physical conditioning.
So, Markie, think back, and there are a lot of people who are probably listening to it and saying, I have gone through a trauma. I am still down. People who are saying, oh my God, that's me. What is the advice you give them? So they are down. They are not thinking you are a professional bodybuilder. Of course you could do it. You are pretty. You are educated. You are blah, blah, blah. That's not me. What would you tell them for them to just do step 1, 2, and 3? What advice would you give them?
So for me, in that situation, and what I imagine other people would feel like in that situation as well, is you want to feel understood. You want people to be able to empathize. It's not that you necessarily need people to feel sorry for you, but you want to know that it's going to be okay. And hopefully you have someone around to tell you or to encourage you or some kind of support system to help you get back up.
So the first thing will be find people who will understand you.
Who will understand you.
That's step one.
Yeah, okay. I would say that's step one. But honestly, in my situation, I didn't have that. And so sometimes you really, really have to dig deep and find that strength within yourself.
And how would you do that?
I would say to do that, you have to believe that your life matters, first of all. Your life matters, and you deserve to have a good life. You deserve to be happy. You are worthy of love. And so if you can believe those things about yourself, believe in your intrinsic value, then you, I believe, can find the strength within to say, okay, if I have value, I have something I can offer the world. And so...
But when you're down, do you still see that?
I think it's very difficult to.
Okay.
I think it's very, very difficult to. And so I won't sit here and pretend like that's an easy thing to do or that's something that happens overnight. I mean, this is something that can take months or years to happen. I think it takes a lot of self-reflection and conversations with yourself to...
Give me kind of conversation you had with yourself when you saw that the first step is for me to feel understood and you couldn't find someone. You didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
So what did you do? What are the tricks you used for yourself? And hopefully those tricks apply to other people. So what would you do? You wake up in the morning, what did you do to find that self-reflection that other people can do?
For me, I'm a spiritual person, and so part of that for me was like, okay, I'm here for a purpose.
Yeah.
Like I have a purpose. And I could throw in the towel right now and just say that's it. But I also said, but is that how you want your story to go? And it wasn't. And so I had to recognize, okay, just I don't have anybody giving me empathy, support, whatever. So I need to do that for myself. And so kind of having conversations with myself included things like, okay, is this thought process, is this negativity, this self-doubt, is this actually going to help you accomplish X, Y, or Z? Even if you think it's true, you have to think otherwise. You have to believe otherwise. You have to have confidence in yourself because there's nobody else will. So you have to do that for yourself.
So now you have found your inner strength, or you found someone who brings you or encourages you to find that inner strength, but ultimately it has to come from you. No one else can give that to you. They can encourage you, they can motivate you, they can be part of the process, but at the end of the day it has to be you. So now you found that inner strength and you say, your life is worthwhile. You have a purpose in this life. You're going to go achieve that purpose. Now you've done that, then what?
After you've achieved that purpose.
No, I mean, now that you found someone who can empathize, either have empathy for you or someone you found the strength in yourself. Now what?
Okay. So from there, I think you need to start setting goals.
Okay.
Decide, it could be big or small.
Yeah.
But even a big goal is going to be achieved through smaller goals.
Yes.
So like I said, for me at that time, my goal was, once I started getting into fitness, I learned about bodybuilding, and I thought, that's my goal. That is my goal, to compete in one show, to get myself prepped and trained and ready to compete in this one show. Now, within that goal, there were all these other smaller goals that happened. My goal is to get to the gym and train every single day. My goal is to stick with this meal plan and this specific diet that I have so that I can be ready in time for this show. So that was this one goal. And the thing about setting a goal and then achieving it is it instantly reaffirms confidence.
It's a virtuous loop that keeps you going.
It is. Yeah. It is. And so just by achieving that one goal, changed my life completely.
Yeah.
Completely changed my life. And it gave me the confidence to basically attempt anything that I think of, anything that I want to do. I don't even think about the failure.
Sure.
You know, failure to me, it doesn't actually exist. It's just like, well, that option didn't work out because maybe there's a better option, or maybe there's something completely different I should do. So having a goal, taking things one step at a time, accomplishing those goals establishes and reaffirms confidence that gives you the ability to chase the next goal and to rebuild and redefine your future.
And soon enough, there you are competing on a pro thing and winning awards. And, right? So it is all one step at a time. And the first step is the most important part. Believing that you are here for a purpose, you have a mission, and finding the inner strength to move forward. Because once you do that, everything starts to move, right? So now that you are sitting here as a successful woman, right? Someone who has now not only done the fitness and now you're competing in pro things, you feel really good, and you to some extent redefined yourself. You didn't let a troubled situation, your struggle, bring you down. You use the struggle as a strength and as a springboard to get yourself into a better place that you wouldn't have been but for that struggle. So I mean, wouldn't that be nice when people are going through the struggle to realize that that struggle is their jump board? Struggle is what allowed them to get to a place they couldn't have been but for this struggle.
Absolutely.
And thank God and say, God, thank you for giving me this struggle and strength to get out of it so I can be a better person.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you pointed that out, because it's the truth. And I recognize that for myself. I think, you know what, as awful as all these things were, and for a number of years, my life was just awful. I was very unhappy. A lot of bad things happened. But at the same time, I recognize that situation and getting myself out of that place and all the struggles along the way to get to where I am today, that has made me who I am today. And that makes what I'm doing even more meaningful for myself and hopefully inspirational for other people who are dealing with similar obstacles.
So what are you doing? Now, I mean, now that you're taking the elevator up and you are on the top floor, how are you sending the elevator back down, uplifting others who are still waiting to go up? So what are you doing to inspire other girls who are going through similar struggle or different struggle and to say there is a possibility here?
Yeah. So I have made a point from the beginning, once I was in a safe situation and I was able to start looking to help others, I've made it a point to encourage other girls, other women, other men too, through social media, through messages and things that I put out on social media. I get involved with organizations in my area to help work directly with other victims. And most recently, I've started my own podcast. It launched in October of this year.
And what is it called?
It's called Project Markie.
Okay.
And I call it that because I feel like I've been my own personal project for a number of years. And now this is also a project where I want to provide a platform for other girls, men, women who have been through experiences that were very traumatic, specifically sexual assault or abuse, domestic violence, human trafficking, issues like that. And so I want to provide an outlet for them to share their stories and to feel safe to share their stories and to know that, they don't need to be ashamed. And if it will help them to talk about it, then I'd like to offer that for them. And then also to hopefully reach someone who is currently a victim or who's recently experienced this in that place where I was, where I was looking for someone or something to help me believe that things could be better.
Be
and I didn't have that. And so if I can offer that for somebody else by sharing all these stories, saying, look, these people, they've been in your shoes too. You know, they've been through this, and this was their transformation, and this is how they got out, and this is what they're doing now. And if they can do it, and this person can do it, and this person can do it, you can do it too.
What makes you wake up in the morning and you feel, you know, and you look back and say where you came from, where you are? Do you feel a lot of gratitude, or do you feel a lot of anger that things that happened to you?
I don't feel anger anymore. That was something I actually had to let go of pretty early on. I realized that being angry and being full of hate and looking and feeling like I need justice, I need vengeance, something should happen to somebody who did this to me. Those kinds of feelings were not allowing me to focus on the present and the future. So it was kind of, you know, if I had two battles there, if I'm battling the past and then trying to fight this uphill battle to create my future, I couldn't do both at the same time. And so I let go of anger a long time ago. And so to answer your question of what I focus on more today and what I feel today is a lot of gratitude.
So, Markie, the thing that you said is just so important. When you are going through a situation and someone does something wrong to you, your natural reaction is to be angry, and your natural reaction is revenge. And when you keep focusing on revenge and anger, only thing you're doing is eating you away, and the other person doesn't even know or care about what you're going through, right? So you are the one who is actually being victimized again and again
by yourself.
After someone else victimized you.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So how do you get to a point? Did you actually just forget, or did you actually forgive?
Forget, no. I will never be able to forget.
But you forgive.
But I can forgive. And
is it true forgiveness, or was it simply to move forward?
I believe it is true forgiveness, or on the path of true forgiveness.
Okay.
Speaking for myself personally, you know, it's something to where, again, forgiveness has to be something you do to free yourself to move forward and to trust other people and to do all the amazing things you can and potentially can do for yourself and for other people. So you have to forgive. You have to let go of those things. Can you still feel hurt or upset about what happened? Yeah, I think that's natural.
You know, one of the interesting things, Markie, that, you know, you're making an amazing point here. This forgiveness is not, you don't forgive someone for them, you forgive them for yourself. Because when you don't forgive, that's a termite that's eating you away from inside.
Yeah.
And the day you actually forgive them truly, you not only have stop becoming a victim, you actually empower yourself that no one really have a control over you.
Yeah.
And now you can redefine yourself because you no longer have, that person doesn't even matter to you anymore because you forgive them, truly forgive them.
Yes. And what I find too, after forgiveness comes empathy and sadness for that person.
How do you get there? I mean, how do you, when you are in the situation, I know it's easier to look back to say that. When you have that much anger for someone who actually did something truly horrible and wrong to you, how do you find at that second to say, you know what, whatever, I forgive you?
I don't believe it can happen like that. I don't believe, I wish that you could just throw out, whatever, I forgive you. Throw up your hands. It doesn't, I don't think it happens like that for anybody. It certainly didn't happen that way for me. What happened was just making a conscious decision to, focus on yourself. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on your purpose. Stop focusing on the past. You can't change anything that happened. You can't, for me, I couldn't bring about the justice that I thought was owed. So I had to make a conscious decision to focus on myself and the future. And by doing that, I was able to redefine my future. I was able to build this amazing network and support and everything that I have today. And so I think being able to focus and build all that, now I'm able to look back and be like, you know what, I can offer forgiveness and I don't have anger but it was because I chose to move forward and I chose to stop focusing on the anger and the negativity and those feelings.
So, I mean, ultimately, the only way to forgive someone is to keep thinking, who are you harming? You were a victim of someone else's fault. And if you keep looking back and keep feeling victim again and again and again, then essentially you're being assaulted again and again and again. And now this time there is no one else but you who is actually responsible for it.
Yes.
And that's the way to say, wait a sec.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this to myself when I hate someone else when they did that to me? But I am now victimizing myself.
Yeah. No, again, I'm really, really glad you pointed that out, because I think there has to be this separation at some point where once you're out of a situation and someone is not victimizing you, you have to stop victimizing yourself. You cannot victimize yourself. And I will say I've never referred to myself as a victim of what happened. I've always referred to myself as a survivor, because I think unfortunately some people can get stuck in that victim mentality, and then that's preventing them from moving forward, and they blame it on all these things and these people and what happened to them. But that was some time ago, and so why are you still a victim?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, victim is once you become a victim and you get defined yourself as a victim, you will always be looking out from the lens of being a victim, right? The minute you can empower yourself and say, I have forgiven them, that means I'm no longer a victim. Because once you forgive someone, then no longer someone did something to you, so you're no longer a victim.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And, you always, I know I'm going to probably regret saying it. No action of someone else can justify what they do to you. But at the end of the day, you have to feel some type of compassion of what is possibly their life would have been in their past that caused them to do something like this. And you can possibly feel some empathy and some compassion that maybe they had a broken family, may have had a broken life, maybe they have other issues, but there is that nothing justifies what they do to you. But hopefully you find a compassion somewhere after.
I think you're right. There's nothing that can justify it, and in these situations and in these people, absolutely, I think you can identify, well, this happened to them and this happened and this happened to them, so that's why they did this to me or other people, hurt people. But I think, to your point of empathy and where I'm at this place in my life too, of having empathy and almost sadness for these people, is that I know that they are still in that place. Nothing has changed for them. They're their own worst enemy, and I was able to overcome the things that had happened to me and still be able to love others and want to help others. But they are not in that place.
Do you think if you look at these situations, do you think now they are actually the victim?
They are, I will say, they're their own worst enemy. They're the victim of their own situation.
How do we prevent these things from happening, where someone who goes through these situations, as opposed to dealing just like you dealt after you're victimized, what if everyone could do that, so they don't have to victimize someone else? They could essentially themselves stop the loop. They were victimized maybe by their parents or by their relatives. but they turn around and victimize you.
Yeah.
What if you could stop that cycle of violence, cycle of abuse, the cycle of things, so that it stops? And if every person can stop after they become a victim, not to continue to victimize someone else.
I would love to live in a world like that. And I think that's something we should absolutely continue to create awareness for the issues of domestic violence, of, you know, how I think it's possible to decrease what's happening. Is it possible to prevent it completely? I don't know, because I think, as we've kind of talked about this, that some people are going to be able to get out of that situation. Some people are going to be able to stop hurting and to stop being a victim and to redefine their future, and then others maybe not.
So you're saying that, Markie, if you did not redefine yourself, you would have become the person who would have gone on to victimize someone else, because that's just cycle continues.
No, I'm not saying that the cycle continues, that a victim will victimize somebody else, but I think that the victim will continue to be victimized by themselves. So yes, it's possible a victim could become an abusive person as well. But if they aren't able to redefine their future, then they are stuck in that victim mindset and they become a victim of themselves.
What can one do who's listening to this to help you spread your mission, your moonshot, to allow everyone to redefine themselves from any struggle or trauma or abuse they have had in life? What would be your advice to them?
I would say, don't give up on anyone who you know or think is going through something like this. I think sometimes people will say, well, I told him or her that they should leave this person, and they didn't, and they're still with them, or of course this happened, or they kind of try to play it off like it's something that is that simple, like, oh, you told me I should leave this person who is bad for me. Okay, I'll do that. You know, it's a much more complicated issue than that. And so I think sometimes people, because if they don't understand it or if they don't relate to it, they're very quick to say, well, shouldn't this just be an easy decision? And it's not. So I would ask people to be supportive, to be patient, and try to offer resources for anyone who is experiencing that. And that's what I am trying to do with my podcast, is to offer a resource for anyone who's in this situation, who needs some hope and needs some inspiration.
Markie, this has truly been a pleasure. I know we could have continued, but I know the time is coming to an end here. And I really, really hope that you will come back again and we can continue this conversation.
I would love to.
Thank you very much, Markie.
Thank you so much
amazing
for
work you do.
Thank you. Appreciate you.